Contact Home Paramount Pest Control today for a free inspection. Call 888-888-HOME or visit homeparamount.com.
Breaking news tonight, a deadly shootout on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Officers hit, returning fire, killing an assailant. A major operation underway in the heart of the city on lockdown as ISIS claims responsibility. Nuclear fears. NBC News learning new U.S. intelligence, growing concern over what's going on in North Korea. Found on the run, a teacher and his student caught after a month on the lam. Tonight, the tip that put authorities hot on their trail. O'Reilly fired fallout. New details on a massive payout for the former Fox star. Millions to walk away. High times. How today's date, 420, became synonymous with smoking pot and how businesses are cashing in. And living legacy. Out of a senseless tragedy, a young girl saving the lives of others. Nightly News begins right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, reporting tonight from Chicago.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. A suspected deadly terror attack in Paris tonight where a gunman opened fire using a military-style weapon on police officers along the famed Champs-Élysées, sending people running for cover. ISIS has claimed responsibility, and at this hour, police and soldiers have cordoned off much of that iconic shopping district, telling tourists to return to their hotels. Authorities there have been on alert in the run-up to Sunday's opening round of balloting in the French presidential election. Here at home, President Trump offering his condolences after learning at least one police officer was killed in this evening's attack. NBC's Keir Simmons has late details.
Mesdames et messieurs, you have to stay back, please.
Terror in the heart of Paris tonight on the world-famous Champs-Élysées. Packed with tourists, a gunman opened fire on two policemen. Frightening moments afterwards, caught on social media. An attack just happened, the man says. One of the officers killed, two others seriously wounded.
Just the three guys come down in the Audi car and shoot the police and kill one of the police, and one is injured.
The assailant shot dead as they fired back. He came out with a Kalashnikov and started shooting, this witness says. He could have shot us on the sidewalk, but he targeted the policeman. Tonight, forensic officers examining the car reportedly used in the attack. All leads point to terrorism, the French president telling the nation. President Trump responding during a news conference with Italy's leader.
What can you say? Just never ends.
Just 2 days ago, two men were arrested in Marseille, France, suspected of planning an attack to disrupt the election after bomb-making equipment and guns were seized. While in February, a man attempting to target a group of soldiers guarding another landmark, the Louvre, was shot by police. And in November 2015, multiple attacks by ISIS-backed terrorists in pairs killed 130. France has been in a continual state of emergency ever since, and now preparing to vote in elections, the first round Sunday. One candidate, Marine Le Pen, a right-wing populist who is focused on security and immigration. Tonight's attack happening as candidates made their last pitches on a live televised show. A city and a nation on edge once more. And tonight, ISIS social media accounts quickly taking credit for the attacks, identifying a man from Belgium as the attacker, suggesting this was planned and the timing, with voters heading to the polls Sunday, intentional. Lester?
Keir Simmons tonight, thank you. And we turn to another violent incident involving police officers, this one here at home in Seattle. There's late word that two officers have been shot while responding to a robbery call. Officials say one officer is in critical condition with life-threatening injuries. The other is in, quote, satisfactory condition. At least two suspects are in custody and police are searching for a third. Now to another major story we're following. U.S. forces on high alert over a possible new nuclear test by North Korea. Officials tell NBC News that U.S. spy planes are monitoring for any move made by Kim Jong-un. And at a late news conference today, President Trump addressed the growing crisis over North Korea, while again offering a dark assessment of Iran. We get details from NBC's Hallie Jackson.
tonight, a military message off the Korean coast. Ongoing joint exercises with the U.S. and South Korea as the North appears to position itself to conduct a nuclear test with little or no warning, according to multiple U.S. intelligence officials. They tell NBC News the military is deploying a special sniffer aircraft that can detect evidence of a nuclear explosion, along with drones and U-2 spy planes. President Trump today alongside Italy's prime minister.
As far as North Korea is concerned, we are in very good shape. We're doing a lot of work. We're in very good position. We're going to see what happens.
He basically says, nothing to see here. In fact, the situation remains very tense, very dangerous, and we are a long way away from resolving that crisis.
To convince North Korea to turn down the temperature, the administration's leaning on China.
Some very unusual moves have been made over the last 2 or 3 hours. And I really have confidence that the president will try very hard.
The president didn't specify what Chinese moves he meant and isn't saying what he would do if North Korea does test a nuclear weapon, the first time under his presidency, instead preferring to preserve the element of surprise. That's been a hallmark of his foreign policy so far. And today, on the Iran nuclear deal, another startling break.
They are not living up to the spirit of the agreement, I can tell you that.
But just 2 days ago, his own State Department acknowledged Iran is holding up its end of the bargain. Another step for Donald Trump toward developing a doctrine of unpredictability. The president's first foreign trip will be to Italy next month for the G7 summit with key allies. And plans are also in the works to try to meet with the Pope. That would come more than a year after Pope Francis gently criticized the idea of a border wall, with then-candidate Trump, remember, calling those comments disgraceful. Lester?
Hallie Jackson at the White House, thank you. Tonight, a more than a month-long nationwide manhunt for a high school teacher and his 15-year-old student has come to an end. The pair was found thousands of miles away from where they vanished more than a month ago. It was a single tip, say authorities, that led to the teacher's arrest. We get late details from NBC's Miguel Almaguer.
The arrest and rescue happened early this morning in remote Northern California. In the deep forest of Cecilville, high school teacher Tad Cummings was taken into custody. Police finding his 15-year-old student, Elizabeth Thomas, safe. A tip led them to the suspect's Nissan Rogue and an isolated cabin. Elizabeth's family getting the news 39 days after she vanished.
You know, we're going to have to figure out what kind of state of mind she's in, of course, and probably get her some help. Maybe a long road, but, you know, at least we got her back now.
Investigators believe 50-year-old Cummings manipulated the teen. The pair reported missing March 13th near Columbia, Tennessee. 2 days later, picked up on surveillance video at an Oklahoma City Walmart with dyed hair. After 1,500 tips, one lead last night took investigators 2,500 miles away.
They have taken up residence in a cabin in a remote area in Cecilville, California, within the last week and a half.
With Cummings on the run for 5 weeks, his family publicly begged him to come home. He now faces charges of aggravated kidnapping and sexual conduct with a minor. After weeks of vigils for Elizabeth, soon she'll be home.
I'm very happy. Very happy.
Tonight, one of Tennessee's most wanted is behind bars, and the teenager he vanished with is safe. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Now to the fallout from the bombshell at Fox News, the firing of its biggest star, Bill O'Reilly. We're learning the details about his multi-million-dollar payout, along with new indications tonight that his departure will not put an end to the scandal roiling the network. We get new details from NBC's Ann Thompson.
Bill O'Reilly, the pugnacious face of Fox News, leaves with a $25 million check, say sources with knowledge of his contract. The severance amounts to a year's salary of the 4-year deal he just signed. O'Reilly learned he was out while riding to the airport in Rome last night, returning home from a vacation that included meeting Pope Francis. Gabriel Sherman has reported about Fox News for several years. Do the sexual harassment claims end with O'Reilly's firing?
I'm hearing from my sources that the company is continuing to hear from women. This is a culture that long predated Bill O'Reilly.
Sherman also says there are new claims of racial discrimination. Perkita Burgess went on The View today with her story of what O'Reilly said when she was a temp.
He walks past and says, "Hey, hot chocolate."
A Fox News spokesperson says they are unaware of any new claims. O'Reilly's firing comes less than a year after CEO Roger Ailes was also ousted for sexual harassment. Together, O'Reilly and Ailes were paid $65 million to leave. The women who accused them so far, $33 million. Today, the board of 21st Century Fox, the parent company of Fox News, met in New York. Potentially at risk, its attempt to buy Europe's pay TV giant Sky. 21st Century Fox must pass a fit and proper test by a British regulator.
With the Ailes affair of last year, it shows a pattern, an absence of the right kind of corporate governance.
Fox now promises to address all concerns promptly and confidentially.
Women there do not feel that their claims are taken seriously.
Even after a powerful man is gone. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
Now to a legal twist of fate that has a lot of people talking as the Trump administration moves aggressively to stop illegal immigration. It's caught up in a legal dispute over a so-called dreamer from California who was deported, his lawyers say, for no reason. Now it's in front of a federal judge who has a history with Donald Trump that may ring familiar. We get details from our justice correspondent, Pete Williams.
A legal fight with the Trump administration over the deportation of a man from Mexico has landed in the lap of a California federal judge, Gonzalo Curiel, the same judge who presided over lawsuits against Trump University. Candidate Trump said the judge, who was born in Indiana, hated him.
I believe he happens to be Spanish, which is fine. He's Hispanic, which is fine. And we haven't asked for recusal, which we may do, but we have a judge who's very hostile. Should have been thrown out.
Now lawyers for a 23-year-old man are telling the judge that Homeland Security isn't turning over all the records about the case. Juan Manuel Montes is a so-called dreamer in the U.S. since he was 9.
Fighting for justice!
One of thousands who came here as children, allowed to stay under an Obama policy still in effect. Montes was arrested by U.S. agents 2 months ago, climbing over the border wall from Mexico. Because dreamers like him lose their status if they leave the country and come back, he was promptly deported. But his lawyers say he was outside the country because 2 days earlier, federal agents improperly deported him after he failed to produce identification. His lawyers filed a lawsuit now before Judge Curiel, accusing the government of withholding the records.
We don't know exactly what happened to him because they have refused to provide us answers up till now.
Homeland Security says it has no records of any border agents walking Montes into Mexico, only his illegal re-entry.
Because of his behavior, his illegal behavior, he lost that status, and now he has been removed to his country of origin.
Family members say Montes is in Mexico tonight, still hoping he can come home. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Now to the violence boiling over in Venezuela. Anti-government protesters clashing in the streets with police as the country teeters on the brink both politically and economically. And today, General Motors said it will halt operations in Venezuela after the government seized one of its car plants. NBC's Jacob Rascon has more.
Venezuela is at a breaking point. Thousands taking to the streets yet again today after weeks of violent protests in the capital city of Caracas. More than 400 arrested, at least 7 people killed. Dr. Jorge Olivaria was on the front lines.
People are hungry, but for democracy, for liberties, for rights.
This woman now a symbol of defiance, facing down a National Guard armored truck. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson voicing concern late yesterday.
Well, we are concerned that the government of Maduro is violating its own constitution.
The Venezuelan economy has been in free fall for years after oil prices collapsed, leading to widespread shortages of food, water, medicine, and other essentials. Protesters blame President Nicolás Maduro and his socialist government, which has seized control of many companies over the years, most recently U.S.-owned General Motors, which immediately halted production. Thousands from Miami to Houston marched in solidarity, an unprecedented crisis in what used to be the envy of Latin America. Jacob Rascon, NBC News.
Still ahead, startling new concerns about diet sodas. So many Americans drink them, believing they're a healthy alternative. But a new warning from experts about the potential risk they pose to your brain.
Impressive, Linda. It seems age isn't slowing you down. But your immune system weakens as you get older, increasing the risk for me, the shingles virus, especially after 50. I've been lurking inside you since you had chicken pox. I could surface any time as a painful, blistering rash. 1 in 3 people get me in their lifetime, Linda. Will it be you?
And that's why Linda got me, Zostavax, a single-shot vaccine. I'm working to boost Linda's immune system to help protect her against you, shingles. Zostavax is a vaccine used to prevent